So today we're talking about the Big Blue project. We just announced our IP survey results just last week, and we had some really exciting results come out of that. So by the way, I'm Chad Peters, CEO of Ridgeline. I also believe my team is going to be signing in as well, so hopefully they can help answer some questions. And here we go, we'll get going. So here's our disclaimer. Don't really need to get into why Ridgeline. I hope you think we're already a pretty exciting story, but we just announced also our $20 million earn-in with South32, which in total is now $60 million US across 3 deals, 20 million US at Salina and 40 million US going the ground at our Black Ridge and Swift projects. So pretty excited about that. So let's get into the Big Blue side of things right now. This is our, we're zooming in here. We're just north of our Salina project along a main Cretaceous porphyry trend in Nevada. And what really got us excited about Big Blue, our VPX Mike Harp kind of came across this project late in 2022, was just the incredibly high grade copper. So when you look at it, here we're going to zoom in on the project. This is the Big Blue project. So as you can see, it's just flat valley floor, spinning around here. There's no real mountain ranges, anything like that. This is just a flat valley out here in the middle of nowhere. And one day, Mike was driving along this road on the way to Salina. He looked up at the hillside right here and he saw the Delker mine, went and took a look. Rest is history. We picked up the project shortly after. So the interesting thing about the Delker mine and the general Big Blue project area is it's almost completely covered in alluvium. So everything here in yellow, that is like sand and gravel on the bottom of a valley floor, right? There's no outcropping mineralization. You can't go out there and follow the porphyry system in any way because there's only little nubs of it poking up out of the valley. And that is represented by these 3 mine sites here. So back in the early 1900s, the old timers came in and they actually mined across 3 different adits, shafts, and shafts, over 94,000 pounds of copper at 6.2%. So pretty impressive grade from high grade oxide skarn. There's also what we're seeing now is some porphyry mineralization over in the Ohio target area, which again is the only outcropping host rocks in the area. So that's pretty exciting to us. The only 2 general outcropping areas you see on the entire project, you have high grade porphyry mineralization. So what is there sitting underneath the surface under all that valley floor? So this is what it looks like. Got a picture of Mike right there with a big grin, looking at the original Delker mine at it. You zoom in, that's what he's pointing at right there, that high grade oxide skarn. That's running up to 15% copper in the core of that system. We're going to take a bigger step out here. What I want to show you, this is a gravity survey that we have got data on from a third party here on the project. And what it shows is you have 2 pretty high density contrasts in the Delker and the Ohio target areas. So that shows, okay, something a lot denser is sitting out there in the valley than just your standard carbonate rock package that we know that sits out there. So that's an interesting thing to look at. You got high grade copper all the way along the Delker trend. From here to here, that's over 2 kilometers in length. And in the limited rock chip sample we've been able to get out in the Ohio target area, we're getting 3.9% copper, up to 16 grams per ton gold in quartz veins, which we believe are the upper expression of the porphyry system. And it's starting to look really exciting at Ohio as well. We just have a lot less outcrop to work with. So it's a lot of using geophysics to kind of see beneath that gets us the value. This is looking at RTP magnetics. What this just shows you is a big red blob, right? You got 2 of them. Big red blob here and another guy that goes around the Ohio target area. But that's not very good resolution. So what we did is we got a higher resolution mag processing done. And this shows that in the Delker area here and in the Ohio target right here, you have 2 very strong magnetic highs. That gets us really excited, right? That's directly associated with the mineralization that we see at surface. This target at Ohio, that's just sitting just under the valley floor, just off the edges of that outcropping Jurassic, that orange blob I pointed out earlier on the geology map. So we're gonna look now at a cross section of our very first IP line that ran all the way across the valley between Skarn Hill all the way out to Ohio. And here's what that looks like. This is why we started getting really excited. When you zoom in here, what I really want to highlight, sorry, I'm just looking at my iPad. What I really want to show to y'all is the chargeability high that sits just down dip of the Skarn Hill at it right here. That is 20 to 25 millivolts per volt, which, just to simplify this here, what that means is when you're looking at a chargeability high, it doesn't necessarily mean that every time you drill a chargeability high, you're going to drill a porphyry. But what it does help show is the mineralization, the alteration that is typically associated with porphyry deposits. And what's really interesting is the background chargeability response in the, let's call it unaltered rocks in the Big Blue project area is somewhere in the kind of 4 to 5, or even less millivolts. Actually, it's closer to kind of 2, 3, to be fair. And what we're seeing is 20 to 25 millivolts in the core of this anomaly. So what that means is you're seeing up to 5 plus X response, or an increase to the background response that you see in your normal rocks. It shows that you have something that's strongly altered. We suspect that it's strongly mineralized, and it sits directly down dip of the Scarn Hill mine, which sits right here. So there's a big dike swarm that extends all the way between the Scarn Hill northeast all the way to Delker mine, and that is what's plumbing a lot of the mineralization near surface. Those dikes you can see and you can map. We've modeled them in here. Gabe, our fantastic geologist, has done a great job modeling those dikes in, and those are dipping down right into this porphyry high. So that gets us really excited. That's about 450 meters to the top of the target to get down to, let's say, putting a drill hole down into the Delker target the porphyry target proper. And then on top of that, we absolutely want to get some drill holes coming across that structural corridor and drilling directly beneath a high-grade skarn mine, which is running up to 6 to 10% copper with rock chips. We think there's a great potential to hit some high-grade copper skarn in the shallow reaches of the system within that structural corridor. And then as we follow that fence of holes down into the Delker porphyry, that's where we think the big prize could be sitting, and it's very exciting to us. So we also see coincident chargeability anomalies just off the flanks of the other side of this QFP dike swarm beneath Scarn Hill. That's represented by this guy here. We think there's potential for some kind of skarn bodies along the edges of this structural zone. And then again, the main system is being plumbed by that porphyry target. So that's really exciting to us. If we show here resistivity, again, it really helps support. And I'm going to zoom in here a little better. This is just showing resistivity all the way across the project, all the way out to Ohio. Then we're going to zoom in on the Delker again, because what I really want to highlight is with that chargeability high that we have at the porphyry target, we also have a coincident resistivity high that extends all the way up into the Scarn Hill mine along this structural corridor. Now, what that represents is probably a strongly altered, probably strongly silicified and mineralized skarn body that is bleeding up into that Scarn Hill mine from the Delker porphyry. So we're really seeing a really nice correlation between a conceptual target at depth, a known skarn system at surface that was historically mined, and we're seeing the kind of response that you want to see, right? You're seeing coincident resistivity anomalies that are complementary to your porphyry anomaly, right? So everything's really tying up really nicely at the Delker target. This is absolutely our highest priority target moving forward. And in a maiden drill program, this cross section right here would be the very first thing that we're going to test. So you take a look back, we want to make sure that we're drilling across the structural zone itself. Then you want to step back and you want to get a couple deep holes into the edges of that porphyry system and into the heart of the chargeability high itself. And we're pretty excited about what that could mean. So then when you take a look, we're going to go about almost 600 meters to the north now, right towards the Delker mine. I'll just give you a little view of surface here to give you an idea. Remember, we were sitting right here looking at a section across the valley. We are now going to look across another section that extends from about here to here across the Delker mine. Zoom in on that. And again, we're really liking what we're seeing. One of the things that I'll point out right off the hop is we realize now, after completing this survey, that we have to extend our survey lines. The reason being, we have open-ended chargeability highs here. And if we were to go after and hopefully look for the same Delker, the continuation of that Delker porphyry, well, that's going to be sitting right about here, right? So our survey actually didn't extend far enough to the west in this case to fully encompass that anomaly. So what we're going to do is we're certainly going to extend the lines this way, this direction, probably extend them a little bit this way as well to fully capture this guy. And we're going to be able to hopefully get much stronger and deeper response here in the Delker porphyry area. But one thing to point out that we do see immediately is right underneath the Delker mine again, you have a nice subtle chargeability high. Now, typically, a lot of times what you see in porphyry systems is your phyllic zone, or your kind of proximal rind of sericite alteration, QSP alteration that is right around the core. That is typically a chargeability high. The core itself of a porphyry system, a lot of times, it will actually be a slightly more subtle anomaly, and that's because you're seeing a strong abundance of chalcopyrite and bornite, plus or minus magnetite, gold, etc., in the core of the system. And we actually see a similar response here, right along this structural corridor. This would be an excellent target to set up right on the edge of the Delker mine, right here. So what I want to show you, I'll keep going here at the Delker mine. What we have is, I was mentioning, is we want to drill across this potassic core, across the structural zone, get across that through the potassic core. Hopefully, I think a lot of times when you drill the margins of chargeability highs or resistivity highs, it can get really exciting, right? That's when you see a lot of the change. So we want to get holes across that. What we're definitely seeing is all the way across from Scarn Hill to Delker is a very strong and consistent response that shows there is very likely some kind of porphyry system churning away down here, and we need to get it drill tested. And again, you also have parallel anomalies. There's another fault that goes like this right through here that parallels this same Delker trend, and you're seeing another really strong, nice chargeability high here of 10 to 18 millivolts per volt. So pretty exciting. Also want to show you, this is actually a picture of Gabe Aliaga. He got underground about 3 weeks ago at the Delker mine. It was cleared by NDOW. They did a bat survey in there, and he was able to go in and actually look at the mine itself. I'm going to zoom in here. Here's what our resistivity is. And again, showing the picture of Gabe under the mine, and you do see a coincident resistivity high that parallels along this mine. So again, we're seeing strong resistivity up through the corridor here, right down beneath Delker, and then you're seeing a coincident potassic anomaly. Well, potassic, let's just call it a chargeability anomaly. Won't get too far ahead of myself right beside it. So pretty exciting. Again, I'll zoom in. This just shows some of the pictures Gabe took underground. Take a look. This is what these guys were mining, right? They were mining high-grade copper skarn right there. They got about 200 feet along strike here, and they were only about probably 30 feet under surface at the time that they were drifting along this stuff. So these guys were, they were definitely had a lot more balls than me, that's for sure. These guys had a pick and a hammer, maybe a little bit of explosives in the early 1900s, but pretty amazing what they were able to do back then. So it shows good continuity of the system. The question is now is, can we drill beneath that system and hopefully hit something really exciting? So I'm going to zoom out now. That's the Delker target, which again encompasses this 2-kilometer trend right here. Now we're going to look at the Ohio target, which actually is showing considerably higher grade gold right here than anything that we've seen in the Delker area. We also see much higher molybdenum in the Ohio target area. So that's something that's really interesting to us because, you know, typically in a classic porphyry system, you're going to see your molybdenum sitting a little closer to the core of the system than the fringes, right? So if we're seeing molybdenum increasing dramatically as well as higher grade gold, it suggests we're getting closer to that porphyry heat source. Maybe that's the core of the system. So that gets us pretty excited. This is the only outcropping chunk of rock out here in the valley. Now that's a bunch of Jurassic porphyry, which is being cut by quartz veins. And it's those quartz veins that have high-grade copper, high-grade gold. We even have visible gold in the quartz veins at the Ohio target. So we're going to look at a section that cuts right across here. And we got, again, a really strong, consistent up to 20 millivolt per volt chargeability high directly underneath. I'm going to look at this again and show you guys directly underneath this mag high right here. That's the core of the mag high. Look where that is in relation to our IP anomaly. It's right beneath it. So that gets us pretty excited. Now this is a deeper target, right? We're talking about roughly 600 meters to the top of the target here. So although the Ohio porphyry target is really exciting to us, it is much deeper and it's going to be much more expensive to test. So whether we go after our maiden drill program, going after the Delker porphyry and wait for the Ohio porphyry to be our secondary test, that's still up in the works right now, but we are really excited about what we're seeing here. And I mean, honestly, just a straight vertical hole, 1,000-meter drill hole, that would test the target right through the guts of it, right? So pretty excited about what we're seeing. What potentially may have happened here, just to highlight, what may have happened in the valley is that you have a major range front fault that runs along here. You got another guy that roughly kind of goes like this, right? And the valley actually split apart like an accordion. It is possible that maybe the Ohio target, this big chargeability high, and the chargeability high that we see right off the edge of Scarn Hill, it's possible that at one point, maybe those two were just one porphyry system that has then been ripped apart. The other option is they could also be clustering of the porphyry system, which is also very common in porphyry systems, right? You'll see actually multiple clusters of porphyry centers, and that's absolutely what we might be seeing here as well. So pretty excited to, I think as far as the potential results of this survey and what we could have expected out of it, the fact that we've seen two very consistent chargeability highs directly beneath mineralization that shows porphyry style alteration and mineralization at surface, as well as our other geophysics, which kind of support the location of these anomalies themselves. It's pretty exciting to us, right? We're seeing multiple layers of data all showing the same thing. We need to get drill holes into these targets. We're going to step about 500 meters to the north, even closer to those rock chips. And what I want to show you again is right here, we have another open-ended chargeability high, right? Very strong. So what we need to do, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, just like we want to do over at Delker, we need to extend these lines over to the west, and we're also going to extend and connect the lines across the valley. And what that's going to do is give us a really good idea of what we're looking at. That's why we staked another 100 claims to the west as well, because we knew that, okay, we have open-ended chargeability anomalies that are heading in that direction, and we want to make sure we fully encompass them. So yeah, pretty excited about how this is coming together. This is certainly shaping up to be a very legitimate porphyry target. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how it comes together. So why don't we keep it quick there? And let's see, does anyone have any questions? Anyone want to throw any at me? Just type them into the chat bar, and I'd be happy to answer them live. Oh, you guys are quiet today, probably because I've had such technical difficulties here. All right, well, so a few other things I wouldn't mind pointing out while we're waiting, if anyone has any. Okay, Sammy, what is your take on the current market cap? Is it fair? Well, that's always a tough question, right? Because for me, this is, I founded this company, obviously, probably the whole time we've been public. I've always felt that we're undervalued. That being said, I think it's a tough market right now. And a lot of companies are getting a lot lower valuations. Comparable pure explorers in the space are getting a lot lower valuations than us. So, I guess we're worth what you guys are willing to pay. Hopefully it's a heck of a lot higher than that in the future. And I think that what we're proving is, we're bringing in majors to work on our biggest projects, on some of our more advanced projects. Zero risk to us, all fully funded by the majors, and we get to participate in those hopeful discoveries. And then we're generating projects like this. I mean, this is one of the most exciting porphyry targets I've seen in Nevada in my time here. I've been here for 12 years now. So I think hopefully soon enough, I think we're going to prove that market cap is undervalued. Hopefully it's going to go up. So, all right. How to fund drilling, Andreas. All right. Well, obviously, the only way to fund a significant drill program here at Big Blue is going to be an equity raise. That being said, there are multiple avenues to make that happen. And I'm not sure that we're going to be going the typical private placement route, or whether we're going to be looking at more of a strategic investment kind of angle. So that's stuff that we're sorting out right now. We certainly have a strong cash position at the moment. We don't have to go do a raise anytime soon. And so, yeah, we're working that out right now. But certainly to do a proper drill program here, we will have to raise funds at some point. Okay, why is Delker considered better than Ohio, or has that changed? That's a really good question. And I think if you were to get into one of our meetings between our three geologists, we probably switch back and forth between what our favorite target is on any given day. I think that Delker currently outweighs the Ohio target for a few main reasons. One, you have outcropping mineralization at the Delker all the way through Scarn Hill mines. It's a past producing mine. It's shallower, right? So obviously the mineralization starts at surface, and our target, top of target for this porphyry system is only about 450 meters, right? So that's very approachable, right? And we're hopefully going to be drilling mineralized zones all the way down as we drill through that structural corridor. So Delker is shallower. It's a past producer, and currently still very high grade, albeit not the same gold grades as Ohio. When you look at Ohio, again, we really love this target. Fantastic potential, but it is 600 meters down, right? Which that is a slightly larger, that is a larger hurdle to get over when you're drilling a porphyry target. So I'd say there is evidence to support that Ohio may be the core of, heading towards the core of the system. That being said, there's still a really excellent target in the Delker porphyry area. And I think we'd probably start with that as a maiden drill program with the goal of drilling over at Ohio, hopefully with success. All right. Some people are comparing RDG to Big. Do you see anything similar there from, Hercules Silver, everybody, for those that aren't aware of Big? Yeah, actually, I do see some similarities here. Both projects were past producers a long time ago, right? No one ever looked for those deeper porphyry targets. And I think another clear comparison that I think you can make is in the case of Hercules, their porphyry target was sitting underneath a large unconformity, right? So two different ages of rocks. There had been an erosional event between them, which essentially kind of made it a blind porphyry target. And they used IP geophysics to identify that porphyry target. And in their case, their first hole hit, which is phenomenal. I like to say that, I think there's a lot of similarities here in that the Ohio target is completely undercover. And also the Delker porphyry sits undercover as well. You actually don't have an outcropping porphyry system at either of our targets. Yet the IP results are showing a very compelling target there. So I do see some similarities. Let's hope that the drill bit is able to prove that. Okay, Andreas, can you talk a little bit about your first drill program, meters, holes, timelines, etc.? Okay, so timelines, again, are fluid at this point. Main reason being is we're going to make sure that we raise capital at the right time, right? And we're going to make sure we hopefully would like to raise it at much higher levels than what we're sitting at now. So that will help dictate when we raise capital, which of course then leads into our drill program. So I'd like to think that I'd love to get a drill program started in the next 6 months at Big Blue. We're able to drill in the wintertime here. Like I said, it's a very flat valley floor, good road access. So I would say that, timeline's still fluid, but we do want to aggressively move this project forward. On a meter basis, I think we're going to need to drill somewhere around 3,500 to 4,000 meters would ideally be, my ideal kind of, our team's ideal kind of starting point for a program. And I think that hopefully answers your question. So is Rick Rule involved in any more way than just investing in the company? Well, at this point, Rick is purely an investor in the company. That being said, I usually try to talk to him at least once a quarter, and he's always got a good tidbit of advice for me, which way he thinks we should be going with the company, strategy, etc. So, on a day-to-day basis, he's purely just an investor, but I do count on his kind of guidance and input, I guess you could say, on a pretty regular basis. All right, how will the news flow look over the coming months? Yeah, so we have actually our Swift project has been actively drilling since August, so it was a little bit delayed. But I'm going to be providing an exploration update on that shortly. So there'll be news flow coming out of Swift. We're currently quoting out the MT survey for our Salina project, which I think is going to crack that project wide open. It's really exciting, and so is the South32 team. We're going to have news for that coming all the way through October and into December. And we also have another project that we're working on that we've already staked it, and we're just kind of solidifying the property boundaries and making sure we have all the ground we want. We'll be going live with that as well. So going to be a pretty significant amount of news flow over the next, call it between now and Christmas. And I hope that we'll be firing up a drill program in the new year at Big Blue. Okay, the Ohio target is close to Reyna's Medicine Springs target. Are there any ideas to combine your forces, JV, acquisition, etc.? That's a great question, and it's certainly something that we're open to. We haven't been in touch with the Reyna Silver team lately. They've been very busy at their Griffin project, but I think hopefully as the project advances, that may be something that gets discussed. What is the minimum investment in order to participate in a future capital raise? Okay, well, look, honestly, I don't like doing I don't really typically do minimum investments because I myself, I'm not a high net worth investor of my own, and sometimes I'm only able to put in 5,000 Canadian into a private placement. So honestly, if you're a qualified investor, you can put in, let's just say $5,000 into the company. We will absolutely consider your investment. We want to make sure that this company is accessible to everybody. And if you have the cash and want to pick up some private placement shares, we're happy to do that. All right, your drill plans for Big Blue in your slide deck indicated 38 drill sites. Do the IP results change this? That is a great question. Someone is paying very close attention. I like it. So we are actually in the process right now of Mike Harp, our VP. He's kind of our permitting guru as well. Him and Gabe have been going through the model, planning drill holes, and we've come up with roughly about the same amount of drill sites. I think it's around 40 now, would max out our permit, of which we're probably 8 of those sites are going to be used for the drill program itself, 6 to 8. So we're actually submitting that permit. It's an amendment, simple amendment to the notice of intent. It takes about 30 days. So we'll probably get that submitted in the next week or two, have approval of that in probably early November. All right. You guys got great questions today. I appreciate it. What are the drilling costs in Nevada? So it can vary greatly. That's a good question. It depends whether you're drilling RC, which is dramatically cheaper, but it's not as good a quality data, or you're drilling core. So our team only drills core. We want to get the highest quality data. It's a big part of why we've been able to attract majors to our project is we don't skimp when it comes to doing the exploration work and the data collection. So you could say that on average, let's say a short hole, 0 to 500 feet, let's just say your all-in cost could easily come out to around $400 a meter. And if you're drilling deep holes, 1,000-meter drill holes, let's say we drilled 1,000 meters at Ohio, I could see that easily being $500 a meter all in. Now, that being said, I'm also a partner in a drilling company in Nevada. And the reason I originally started, became a partner in that company was I personally wanted to be able to advance my largest shareholding, which was Ridgeline. I wanted to see as many drill holes going in the ground as possible. So with that partnership, I am able to secure discounted pricing for drilling, which means those prices that I just quoted you, ideally, I'd like to think we can come in a little bit below that and hopefully save Ridgeline some money. Okay, I've seen Ridgeline being somewhat more covered lately on Twitter, X, sorry. Are you planning on getting more exposure on social media platforms going forward? Yeah, I think, our team firmly believes that social media is a major part of marketing these days for junior exploration companies. If you're not active on X, on LinkedIn, Instagram, you're kind of missing out on an opportunity. So we are planning on becoming more aggressive on social media. We've partnered with guys like Antonio Tanisov, who does fantastic interviews, MSD. We work with the Valpal team as well out of Europe. And they get some really good following and do really high quality videos and aren't afraid to ask tough questions. So we feel that that's really helped our story as well. Okay, 35 drill sites, 8 of which are at Ohio. Hey, great, Mike. Thanks, buddy. All right, guys, Mike just mentioned in our chat, he's driving today. He's heading out to the field, actually, so he's signing in from his phone. We have 35 drill sites total. 8 of them are at the Ohio target. And again, I think that highlights right now primary focus on shallow mineralization at Delker. And then we have 8 holes spread across Ohio to allow us to effectively test that target at depth. Obviously, if there was success at either one of these targets, we can re-permit again, change the hole locations, and adjust them to make sure that they perfectly test the holes we're going after. So, okay. I think we might have covered all the questions. So again, everyone, I really appreciate you taking the time to tune in. My email, my phone is on all of our phone number on all of our press releases. I also have it right here, right there. You see my email, my phone number. Please don't hesitate anytime to reach out to me directly, message me on X. I'm happy to take your calls, set up a Zoom call so we can go through the project in more detail. I do apologize for the technical difficulties. Not too sure why the platform kept kicking me off today. It's probably my garbage internet, but I do appreciate that some of you hung around. So thank you so much, and great questions, and hopefully we'll have more news coming soon.